Okay, good morning everyone. In this morning's session we're going to be looking at blowers, and in particular this blower is a two-stroke blower, and that refers to the fueling and the type of fuel. It's petrol and oil, which is a mixture, and you'll find that most handhelds and equipment like this tends to be two-stroke. So this is a two-stroke backpack blower. You could also use a handheld blower, which I don't have one of those, or it could also be refer to a vacuum for picking up leaves. As part of your qualification, you need to be able to demonstrate this task of actually using a blower, and in this case we've got a backpack blower here. The qualification consists of various tasks within the unit itself, but in this occasion I want to talk to you about pre-start checks, and it's something that's really important. And pre-start checks refers to any type of equipment. Now that equipment could be, as we have here, a backpack blower. It could be for the use of a pedestrian mower, even a tractor. Pre-start checks are essential. So we're going to cover pre-start checks and we'll just discuss why it's so important. But before I do that, I want to mention to you about risk assessment. Now, you will be familiar with risk assessments, and there are risk assessments for all sorts of things that perhaps you might be involved in the workplace. But a risk assessment is really important, and actually you should carry out a risk assessment for every item of equipment that you have in your store. And really it identifies any hazards related to using a piece of equipment like this. But what it also does is it clearly will tell you about the correct use of PPE, what you need to be wearing and using with this piece of equipment. Also, I want to just touch on record keeping. You may have a tool store that lots of other colleagues and employees use, and so you need to make absolutely sure, but before you take this machine out, that it is safe to do. The previous person that used this machine should have completed a record of use, and I hope that your supervisor or manager have got machinery records in place, because it's really important to be able to record a machine's use, the duration of use, so that you know when it needs servicing. So let's move on. Let's think about pre-start checks. Why do we need to carry out pre-start checks? And the reason is that this is a two-stroke blower. It's not going to run without fuel. So the first thing we need to do is we'll check the fuel. And on this, it's a simple task of filling up with fuel. Obviously, use best practice when handling fuels. And obviously, for this demonstration, I'm not wearing gloves. But any pre-start checks that you carry out in the workplace, you should either be wearing rubber gloves or you can use a barrier cream on your hands. PPE, safety at all levels throughout the task. So we thought about fuel. With blowers, generally speaking, there's not a lot of adjustment, but on the backpack blower we do have some adjustment, and that's because every user is different. It may be your colleagues used it and perhaps the build of that person is smaller, so we've got a whole harness system here, which is really important when you're using one of these backpack blowers. There's quite a lot of weight in this blower, and so you need to make sure it fits you properly and that it's actually comfortable to do. So we've got adjustments on the strap here and here, but this one has also got a belt as well that you can adjust for your waist, and that all helps to support you when you're using this machine. These machines are very powerful, and you can get a lot of fatigue by using the machines if you've not got this system of straps in place and adjusted to suit you. So that is a pre-start check, adjusting the straps for you. What's also really important with pre-start checks, it's first and foremost a visual inspection of the piece of equipment you're going to use. And we're going to just use your eyes to scan the whole piece of equipment. And what we're looking for is to make sure that there's nothing missing from the machine, making sure that all these bolts are in place and that there's no cracks and damages. Perhaps it may have happened from the previous user. Also on this machine here, we've got this whole sort of intake here, and this needs to be absolutely clear and essential that this has no debris. Inside here, part of the makeup of this machine is that you can see these springs inside, and it's a bit like a suspension on a car. These springs actually move, and that takes out some of the vibration from the equipment, so that's actually not transferred to you, because you would get quite a lot of high operator fatigue, and it could. And there are legislation acts in place to make sure that all these safety mechanisms are in place. So we're making sure that nothing